When we gathered feedback for the first draft of our horror trailer, the audience stated that through interviews that the storyline was clear. However, after this feedback was taken into account, we edited the trailer so that this was more apparent. We did this using a text that appears on the screen. For example, later that night Ollie received an anonymous phone call to enforce the storyline. Another way that the audience feedback helped with the second draft is that we used the same costumes all the way through, thus emphasising the characters, a nerd and a jock. When gaining research into the poster, I found out that the audience preferred True Lies as the typography. This is the font used in the trailer, but in the final poster I used Insomnia, as I felt it fit the genre more appropriately. 60% of the audience believed that the photo should be a photo from the film for the poster. So from this, I looked at existing posters. My final poster had the killer wearing the mask as the subject. The same 60% thought it should be relatively plain with not too much going on. I agreed with this and subsequently included this in my poster. The audience had also stated that they thought the background should be plain, therefore emphasising the horror genre. In terms of feedback from the first drafts, the audience showed that this text should be in a different colour to the rest of the poster, therefore giving it more contrast. The results from the initial questionnaire in terms of website research showed that the audience preferred black and red, thus I used this for the website in terms of illustrating the horror genre. The audience also preferred something from the film as the main subject for the posters. This is what we all did, as I was inspired by the Exorcist website, which also used the same one picture as the background. 70% of the audience would prefer a plain background for the website. This is what we took into account and we did not overcomplicate. 70% of the audience also thought that the image should be one from the film. Therefore, I used an image of playing cards to relate to the film and the film's title, as it is called Death Game. I also used blood on the cards to enforce the death. In regards to the website, 80% stated that a colour scheme should be used. I took this into account and used mainly black and red, other than other colours to stand out. 37% of the audience voting for it, compared to black and yellow, black and white, and other. The most popular drop-down menus for the website were Gallery, Behind the Scenes, and About. Therefore, I chose to use these so I could conform to what the audience preferred. The audience also felt that due to the colour and shades of the background, the title was not clear. Because of this, I made the title red and black so that it contrasted with the rest of the website.
Audience feedback is important when creating a product because if you follow the improvements they suggest, it will meet their expectations and therefore appeal to the target audience. To compile the idea for our film trailer, we created a questionnaire to ask to our target audience. This target audience was of people 18 to 25-year-olds, as this is the average age for horror film audiences. When we created this questionnaire, we gained multiple answers and compiled the answers in different graphs. We then used these results to gain an outline for our film. An example of one of the questions we asked was, which main weapon would you prefer for a horror film? The result for this was knife as the favorite weapon, which had 40% of the results. We chose to range the questions we asked so that they covered all areas of the film. We chose to ask this questionnaire so that it meets the target audience's expectations, therefore enticing them to watch the film. Once we compiled the results and created the first draft, we presented to a group of people in the age range of our target audience. We explained the storyline, showed the first draft of the trailer, using animatics to fill any of the gaps we had in the storyline, and also showed the first draft of both of our ancillary tasks. They then gave us feedback on what we could improve and what they think worked well. In the first draft of the trailer, I was surprised that the audience chose against the idea of the college students being watched by the villain. Therefore, with them choosing against this idea, I had to change the main image for my poster as well. This was because the main image on my poster was the villain holding a TV. Some of the feedback we gained was that the trailer needed more use of the prop blood, as there was not much of it in the first draft. We decided to add more blood in, as this is a convention of a horror trailer. We gave the audience a choice of two narratives. The first narrative was a psycho ex-girlfriend getting revenge, and the second idea was a killer kidnapping two people to enter them into his twisted game. I was expecting the audience to vote for the first idea, as it challenges the final girl theory and would therefore be an original idea, therefore attracting the audience. It surprised me when the audience said they would prefer to watch the other idea. When creating my horror poster, I again created a questionnaire to find out what they would like to See on the poster, an example of one of the questions we asked was, what would you prefer as the main feature of a horror poster? The answer that gained the most votes was a photo of something or someone from the film. I used this intertwined with the answer from the question, would you prefer a poster to be busy with a lot on it, or blank with one subject? The answer for this question was blank with one subject. I used the answers from these two questions to create the outline for my poster, which was a mask as the main image. The audience feedback also helped me choose the typography that I used for the title and tagline of the film. The question that we asked to get this answer was, which font do you prefer? Once I had created the film poster, I presented it to the class and asked them to tell me their opinion on what they liked and what needed to be improved. One of the improvements that they had said to me was that they thought the image was slightly blurry and that it needed to have a hard shadow around it. I decided to listen to their comments and retake the photo with the improvements that they had said. When creating the horror website, I again asked questions in the form of a questionnaire, with one of the questions being, which color scheme would you prefer? The majority answer for this was red and black. This was because these colors have connotations of horror. Another question I had asked was, what social networks do you use? I then chose the most popular social networks to feature on my website. Once I had completed the first draft of the website, I again showed the target audience and asked them for feedback. They said that I should change the color of the text boxes so that I had a constant color scheme throughout in. Also changed the typography at the top of the page so that I had synergy throughout the product. Overall, after redrafting my product and taking into account the changes suggested by the target audience, I believe that it meets the expectations of the target audience. I also believe that all three of the products link well together, therefore making it instantly recognizable by the audience.
For evaluation question 3, we was asked to gather audience feedback and use the results in relation to our ancillary products. One question we asked in our questionnaire was, which font would the audience prefer in our trailer? The majority of people chose the font True Lies. This inspired us to choose this font for our trailer. Another example of using audience feedback is when we asked if they preferred psychological horror films or horror films that contain gore. 60% of the people we asked stated that they preferred psychological horrors. This then influenced our decision, as we decided to make our horror more psychological by making the killer a stalker. This also made us go against the use of the gory effects. We felt these results would be accurate as the people we asked fitted the target audience of our trailer. For my ancillary tasks 1 and 2, I gathered information from audience feedback via a questionnaire to influence my decisions on the website and poster. One question that helped me was when I asked which type of imagery people preferred on a horror poster. 60% of people chose the main image of a character/prop from the film. The other options were for it to be drawings or packed with lots of different imagery. This influenced my decision in the end, as I chose the use of one main image of the two main characters centralised on my poster. Another question asked was for my website, and if it was people would prefer colour on the website or for it to be black and white. As it was for a horror, I was not sure which people would prefer. In the end, the majority chose the use of colour on the website. This then influenced my decision to use the background as the woods in which we filmed our trailer in, with the use of colour. In general, I feel that the audience feedback from the questionnaire was extremely helpful and influenced many of my decisions on all of my ancillary products.